Welcome to Envision. I'm Deanne Conrad, Community Relations Supervisor. We are here with Dr. Brian Maher, our Superintendent of Sioux Falls Public Schools, and we are looking at an update on the legislature. Big vote. Recently it's gone back and forth a couple of different ways, and on Monday, February 22nd, came out where actually a two-thirds majority in the House voted on an increase in sales tax of a half cent to go toward teacher pay. There's still a lot to be done in terms of that bill before session is over. What are your thoughts?
Well, it was an interesting time because first of all, when the vote took place, I think it was on Friday, and then the reconsideration on Monday, or maybe it was on Thursday, and then reconsideration on Monday. My thought was, what can really change in that time? And actually, I think 3 voters switched positions between that time. So that was interesting to watch that political dynamic. The second thing, I guess, is the fact that it passed the House doesn't mean that we have a law yet. We're still, I've used the analogy of a hurdle race. What we've done right now is we've crossed over that first hurdle. It may very well have been the tallest hurdle, but it was the first hurdle nonetheless. There are several other hurdles to get over before we can actually break through that finish line. So there's quite a little bit yet to be done.
Right. In terms of those, the information that maybe happened between the first vote and the second vote, I know that the legislative coffees that are out there, the Cracker Barrels as they're called in many communities, seems like there was a lot of involvement in the Sioux Falls discussion over education and that topic. You were there as well. Give us your perspective on that process.
Well, my first perspective was that's the first legislative coffee I've been to since I've moved to South Dakota, and there were a lot of people there. Now I understand more than normal, but there were a lot of people there. There was also a lot of emotion, a lot of passion, and I think there were, oh gosh, maybe towards 10 legislators that were addressing the group, and the coffee itself gave me a newfound appreciation for the wide variety of constituents that all of our elected officials face, and then also how thought out, how reasoned, and how researched they have to be before coming to any conclusion. So that was kind of eye-opening for me on Saturday, or on the Saturday of the coffee. One of the other things that I noticed is they really have to keep their cool in the midst of all that passion and emotion.
And that passion and emotion, going back to the teacher salaries, certainly there's been a lot of educators that have gone to peer to see this process through. Certainly, if it becomes possible to have that half-cent sales tax, what sort of differences are we hoping that makes in terms of attracting qualified applicants? Will it be enough?
Well, I hope so. I hope so, and only time will tell. But I think from a kind of a perspective of a teacher, looking through the lens of a teacher, those who are on staff right now, they'll see a sizable increase in their salary, and in my opinion, as well they should. So that's number one. So I think in terms of the workforce, there are really 2 pieces to it. One is to retain the workforce that you currently have. And I think the increase in salaries will go a long way towards retaining the workforce that we currently have. The other piece of that is how do we recruit to replace those who are of retirement age? And I think that is the biggest dilemma that we have right now. It has been well documented what our financial position is in terms of teacher salaries in the state of South Dakota. And that conversation, I am sure, is not lost on 12 to 22-year-old young people as they're making their decision on what their future is going to be. And so I'm hoping if we pass this, ultimately pass this, that conversation is heard with the equal vigor in terms of the minds of those folks who are still making their mind up on what does my future hold. So hopefully we can attract those who are thinking about a profession right now, and that's that 12 to 22-year-old. How can we say, this is worth your while, both from an internal perspective and the heart of doing good for fellow man, but also it's worth your while financially to go into this profession.
At least,
time will tell.
Yeah, at least allowing a family to provide for their own family as well. I know there's been a lot of discussion about what you can actually do on a teacher's salary, or if you have to have a second job and such. So all of those things, hopefully, if this does indeed pass and get to the point of the governor's desk for a signature, it is basically his plan. There's been a couple of amendments that have been talked about here and there, but it is basically his plan.
Right. One of the things that I think folks consider when they figure a profession is the profession valued? Mm-hmm. And I think the governor has really spoken loudly to the state saying, I want to value education. So he commissioned a task force. He took the findings of the task force and he put together a plan. And I think not only did he say, I value education in the state of South Dakota, and I think it's really important for our future, I think he screamed those words by putting this plan together. Our House today is echoing that same volume in saying we value education. I think that value, as much as the salary, will really help us recruit folks into the profession. That will help our state. There's not a doubt in my mind.
Great. Well, we look forward to good things to come from this, and I guess we'll find out what those are at the end of the legislative session. Thank you for joining us today on Envision.